You are now tuned in to the War Party Paranormal Radio Show, where we will be discussing actual audio and visual clips captured during the team's investigations. Hear firsthand eyewitness accounts from fellow team members and special guests. Now smash that like, subscribe, and follow button, and let's get ready to welcome team leader and your host, Eric Vanderlaan, and tech specialist and co-host, Mike Del Coro.
Wait a second.
Wait a second here.
We're all switched up. What the heck's
There
going
we
on
go.
here?
All right.
God damn it. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the War Party Paranormal Radio Show. I'm your host, Eric Vanderlaan, and team leader of the War Party Paranormal Research Team. And we got my good buddy back.
Here I am. What's up, guys? My name is Mike Del Coro, investigator with War Party Paranormal and your co-host. And we got a great show for you tonight. I'm going to let Eric tell you what we're getting into.
We got an amazing show. Actually, we were just investigating. Well, Mike wasn't, because he's doing all kinds of crazy stuff with this house. Congratulations on your new home. I was just telling everyone in the last show that you're going to be inviting everyone to a pool party.
Yeah, everybody's invited. Come on over.
Bring your dogs too. Some people love that. But
Okay.
anyway, we have an amazing guest, one of our good friends, Bill Slevin from Paranormal Existence Research Society. Did I get it right?
PERS. Yeah.
Okay, I got it right. I've been practicing, Bill. And also we have our old producer, Bill. So I want to, Bill Skywatcher. I like to call him Skywatcher. We'll welcome him back. And yeah, we have an amazing show. Bill Slevin is a world-renowned demonologist. He's worked with the Warren. He works with the Warren Foundation. And he's a local guy. I mean, we live in the same hood, so
That's right. Not too many of us.
And lately, we've been investigating a lot together. So I got a little intro, Mike. You want to see it?
I sure do. Let's do it.
If I can find it. You think I would know after, I don't know,
I moved
like
it to
3
the
or
top.
4 years? Oh, there it is. Just a little tease there. Just a little tease.
Awesome.
All right. Without further ado, let's bring in our good friend.
Let's do it.
Bam.
Hey.
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Welcome.
Thanks for
Long
having
time
me.
no
How you guys
see.
doing? Yeah, right. Seems like I just saw you.
I know. I'm still working on that paranormal hangover, Bill.
Yeah, tell me about it. Sunday I wasn't too well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bummed I missed it, but man, that place is something else, isn't it?
Yeah. I had only been there once before, and it was only for a short time because I had a show down in Coconut Grove, and then I came over afterwards, right when you guys were finishing with the public thing. So it was only a little while, but yeah, we had a good time.
Yep. He plugged his team himself. The guests had an amazing time. Everyone came up to me and told me, how appreciative they were. And Bill, for those people that are listening, tell them who you are and where you're from and what you do.
Sure. So I am a paranormal investigator, parapsychologist, demonologist, researcher, and educator. I've been in the field for 36 years, actively investigating. My team is the Paranormal Existence Research Society, which you got right, or PERS.
Took me a lot of practice, Bill.
Just say PERS. And we have members all throughout Florida, Georgia, Nebraska, New England, UK, Italy, Greece, and we're opening up Brazil sometime this year.
Very
so
cool.
We're kind of all over the place. Let me just clarify one thing. I was with the I was with the Warren Foundation for 3 years as a director and manager of them. I'm no longer with them. I moved on, but we have something coming up soon that's still working with the Warrens. I can't really go over it all right now, but it's coming soon. But it's one of those things where for me, growing up when I did, they were pioneers in this field.
Oh,
So
for sure.
out there for people who love them or hate them, the reason we're able to talk like this openly about it has a lot to do with what they did. So I will
Right.
always be there to help carry on that legacy,
They're definitely
Absolutely.
the OGs. I mean, I wish
Yeah.
I would have met them, but never had a chance. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
the closest
that's
thing
why-
to me is Johnny Zappis.
Yes.
That's the closest I ever
Yeah.
got.
Well, I have Joe Frankie that I work with, all the time now. And, Joe was one of their original students.
Oh, nice.
And he was with them for, I think, 36 years it was, and, he knows John. He's good friends with Johnny and everybody. So it's a lot of their knowledge that I'm getting through other people too.
Yeah.
So, I really appreciate everybody that's associated with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I don't think I ever asked you this. It might have been on the last show, but I don't remember. How in the heck did you get into the paranormal? You've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, I've been doing, I say 36 years because I say actively investigating 36 years because that's when I did my first case back in 1989. So before that, I was learning on my own. It was I always say to everybody, it was very tough back then because you couldn't talk about it. It wasn't out in the open. You didn't have the TV shows. You didn't have everything that was making it mainstream. So if, I grew up in a Catholic household.
It's not Satan worship anymore.
No, you're right. Exactly. Back then, even the people looking for help, they didn't want to say anything. They thought they'd be locked up, and then we'd be locked up quicker for believing them, So it honestly was tough. I went through a lot of experiences when I was young, and I kind of, tried to research and learn what it was. Was I going crazy? Was it something real? I tried to find out as much as I could, going to the library, looking up for books. You didn't even have as much as we have out there now.
Bill, you still go to the library.
I do. It's here though.
There you go.
So yeah,
that's not a screen background, people.
No, that's real. But yeah, so it was learning as much as I could until I was able to find other people that took me on to an investigation, a real investigation in a person's home, because that's what I always wanted to do. I wanted to learn about, you want to say ghost hunting, but I really wanted to learn about real investigations and how to help people, because I saw, people that were frightened out of their minds and needed help.
And that's why, and that's why we get along, I think, so well, our two teams, because our team was founded on doing residential cases, and Zap and Scotty, the two founders, are been doing this a very long time as well. And they were our mentors, and we learned a lot from them, and we still do. And we have a very like-minded way of investigating, and
we don't want people to live in fear.
Yeah.
No, we've
help people, and we hand off cases to each other between teams and different things, and work really well and hand in hand.
Absolutely.
So if you reach out to me and you tell me how much you don't like Bill, he's gonna find out. He's gonna let you know. The last I'm not gonna say potential, but the last person that reached out to me about a case, it was funny.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. They could be listening.
I know, right?
But no, I know. But we go back for a long time, and Scotty and Tim and everybody I knew for a very, very
Tim
long
Yancey,
time.
that is.
Yeah,
Tim Yancey. So we've always worked good together. We've never had any drama between our teams, and we all are very like-minded. And
we actually just had one of your team members on a couple shows ago.
Connie.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm going to be using her services, by the way. I was going to let you know.
Definitely do it,
Connie. If you're listening, I'll be reaching out to you.
Yeah, that's what I love about my team too. They're all there. He is.
Hey, Joe.
See, I had to make sure I included him. I had to make sure I included him, or else, So, But yeah, I mean, we go back a long time. We're all like-minded with a lot of stuff we do, and that's why I appreciate you guys. We never have an issue with anybody on your team. My team gets along with you guys, and you
I think I
invite us.
met you like 10 years ago at Gulfstream.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew Scotty and Tim before that, but that was the first time I actually had been out anywhere with anybody from War Party as an actual investigation was Gulfstream.
Oh, okay.
That was fun.
when they were on Florida ghosting.
Yeah.
Right?
The problem was I
Rob
got
Damaris will be busting your balls though. Me too.
Yeah, I was there a couple times with him.
Yeah.
But that place was great, except I got into it at the end of it. So I was there a few times, and I had a lot of fun, but I didn't have it as long as everybody had it. I wish I
never did make it. That was
earlier.
kind of before me. That was when I was doing my own thing, and before I met these guys. I wish I would have had a chance to check it out. I've heard some amazing things and seen some,
man. You missed
crazy...
you missed Uncle Perv.
Yeah.
For real. Very perverted. Like with women. It was hilarious, actually.
Yeah,
I hope you're talking about a ghost and
yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, those places are great because you don't realize at the time that they're going to go away. You're just enjoying having them, and that's
the thing.
The prison I miss so much. That was so great. And the place that we have right now that I can't mention the exact place, but we are only going to have it for a short time. So we're enjoying it now.
Yeah, exactly. And man, I forgot where I was going to go. But so like I got an interesting story for we got people in the chat that are investigators. So, and we were talking about this Saturday night at the Gulfstream used to be like an old hotel. It's right on the Intercoastal in Lake Worth. It was built like I think in the early 1900s or 1910s. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But right now it's shut down. Supposedly someone bought it and they're remodeling it. But when we used to go in there, it was abandoned, and homeless people and crackheads and druggies used to hang out in there. So before we investigated the place, and I want to let everyone know, like we're all like everyone's carrying their permit and they're packing.
It's the gunshine state.
Exactly. Yes. So we got to, and this is like how many floors, Bill? This was it like 8 floors?
Yeah, at
something
least
like that.
It was pretty big.
And then the rooftop, and we had to go through each floor and make sure we're not going to have any surprises when we're investigating. So it was like paranormal warfare.
Well, that's what I always say. I say it's important to do. I tell people like when I'm talking about what to do, I say you got to do stuff like this and you got to be careful, because the last thing you want is at 1 o'clock in the morning somebody that you do not know and jumping out in the dark, because it's not good for you and definitely not good for them. We did the same thing at the prison.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's like people like gang members that hang out there, and they're like doing the graffiti art and stuff and like marking the places like it's on their own territory.
Some of the places we go, that's what I say. I'm more worried about human beings than anything else. That's where the FLIR comes really in handy too. Is you can easily, you can't hide from a FLIR if you're a human being. You know what I mean? Like you're so you can sweep a building pretty quickly with a FLIR.
Not even a Wheezy.
She's here already. I know. She doesn't come to the end of the show.
I know.
You know what's funny? At the prison one time, I used to take the people that were new to my team too. That you understand that they like this and they're into it and they want to do it, but take them to the prison at 1 o'clock in the morning and you'll know if you really want to do this. An abandoned prison in the middle of the sugarcane fields. But
look at my chops.
But one night I had taken 3 of my team members. It was David, Allison, and Daniela. They were all new, and we all went up there and we had a great time there at night. We were about to leave and they wanted to go back in cell block A one more time before we left. Mm-hmm. So I had one of my, I think it was my task cam just running, and we go walking into the cell block and you hear one of the doors opens up and you hear and I said, "This is not a ghost." And I was like, "Guys, run!" Because there's a lot of gangs in Bell Glade, and I'm like, "Run, run, run!" And you hear it's funny because on the recording, when you're going through the recording, we're listening for stuff. You hear me going, "David, take the camera. I'm trying to get my gun." Because I didn't know who it was, and I gotta protect me.
It might have been one of those owls. I mean, those owls had a wingspan of like what? I don't know if I'm exaggerating, but
Yeah.
like, that's the first thing that freaked me out when I saw like it was like wobbling like a penguin with his wings spread out, like it had like a 12-foot wingspan.
They also screech really loud,
and they'll shit on you too.
Yes, they will.
The hazards of ghost hunting, people. Just want to let you know.
Yeah, it's a lot more than the ghosts.
Yep, that's right.
Exactly.
I don't like spiders. That's my.
Oh, you should have fun in abandoned places.
Yeah,
I know, right? Oh, and by the way, get permission. Don't be trespassing. We always call the police and get the permission when we go. Until that last time, Mike was going to go for the very first time, and we called the police, and they raided the place, and we hauled ass. We didn't even have a chance to go in there, and then that's when the end of Bell Glade happened, because I guess the city took it over. And then they were going to demolish it.
Right. Well, I used to call. I used to call the police station, give them my number, and tell them I was going to be there. And they were pretty good most of the time, except one time I called, and they're like, "Do you have permission?" And I'm like, "Well, click." All right. But no,
Scotty was the one that made the call, and just the way she presented herself and say it, like you couldn't say no to her.
Right. Yeah. Wait, you want to hear a real quick funny story about the prison? So my teammate Cassio, who's my international head over there, she was over here because she travels back and forth to Miami too. She was here with us. She was coming to the prison, and I told her, we go in carrying protected just in case, we go check the place out, whatever. And she's very old school. She's a Roman historian. And she does a lot with the Roman history over there and everything. So she opens up her trunk, and she pulls out a friggin' bow and a pack of arrows. And I'm like, you can't go in there with that. I'm like,
it's going to go right through them.
Yeah, I said, I said, what are you doing? Because I said, we're going to, I'm bringing my gun just in case to check everything beforehand. I said, the cops show up. Can't explain why you're carrying a bow and arrows. She was great.
That's awesome.
So
a little bit harder to conceal as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have a good demonology story you can tell us? I got many, damn it.
Yeah. Well, I was on 7 confirmed demonic cases, so every one of those cases is a story. I can give you a quick version. I think you might have heard some of it because I talk about it at one of my lectures. This is the shortened version, or else we'll be here for a couple hours. Joe, I see him.
Part 2.
So this was one of my first cases when I was called out to help assess, for demonic activity. And every time you go to those, I tell people I love going and helping people. I never look forward to these cases. I never look forward to, even if they're calling me in to just check if it is, because you never know what's going to happen. And Joe can attest to this also. You don't know what's going to happen if it turns out to be something real. Although the demonic is very rare, it's frightening. Those cases will haunt me forever. And this case, the way it started was I was called in by a team. They weren't sure what was going on. They were experiencing stuff they never experienced, so they wanted some help. I went in with the team just to check it out again, and we encountered all kinds of things. A lot of the basic things you hear about, which can be other stuff too. The rotting smell, and I've had the rotting smell to where it turned out to be a dead animal in the wall. There's a lot of different things that it can be, but we had the rotting smell. We had the heaviness in that house was insane to me as an empath. I never experienced that at the time. Something so heavy and dark, And while we were going around the house and talking to the family and just trying to get a feel for everything, when we were in the one living room, out of nowhere, I got hit. It felt like two hands like this into my chest, and I got knocked almost 30 feet clear across the room by nothing. And I tell people that is probably
Bill's a
some of
big
the
guy, by the way. I just want to let everyone know he ain't small.
yeah, and and Joe had this happen to him too, and Joe's bigger than me, and it's in my opinion, it can be some of the most frightening things you can experience because there's nothing there. I tell people, you go to a bar, or somebody gets in your face, you can control the situation. You can move out of the way. You could grab them. You can try to talk to them, whatever. But it was nothing. It just hit me out of nowhere, and there was nothing there. And then you're kind of laying on the floor, just kind of like, what's next? One guy came over toward me to see if I was okay. And as he came like running over toward me, something hit him from behind, knocked him right over me. So we got up and we got out of the house, and we told the family to go get a hotel until we can figure out what we're going to do here. We got a priest to come in and help and do a minor rite of exorcism, in the house, like a big house blessing, because we didn't feel it was, after doing some more tests and everything, we didn't feel it was an actual possession on anybody, but more of like the infestation, like going into the oppression stage. And while we were in the room doing the actual, blessing, I saw some things that I never thought in a million years were real, except for TV. So besides getting pushed before that, whoever knows me out there will know about me and orbs and how I talk about orbs. And
Bill, you like are the Antichrist. I pissed so many people off because of orbs.
I do. Well, they're mad because their dust isn't a person, But
And then he sends them some pledge.
I try to educate them and make them understand why it is what it is and what a real orb is.
I had somebody get pretty upset with me because I sent them the article from the Sony
Cyber
article.
Shot.
It was actually
I used that.
Yeah, it's written by Sony, and it's
there's a diagram,
instruction manual, and a diagram of how light reflects off dust.
Yeah, it teaches you, and the Simply Safe website. They're the makers of home recorders and what do you call it, security cameras, and they have it in their FAQ, and they have it in another part in something of theirs where they talk in their blog where they talk about it.
These are camera manufacturers.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Well, how do you explain in South Florida when it gets really hot and humid and muggy? Thing like there's bugs that can breed. Like, how come there's a lot of sightings of fairies? Like, how do you explain that? Like, I've gotten like so many videos and pictures of fairies.
I can tell you because most of them.
I know. I want you to say it though.
You want me to say it? So most of them come off of Ring cameras and other outside security cameras. And the thing is, those are bugs that
hint mosquito season.
Yes, exactly. And the problem is people don't realize that those cameras are fixed focal lenses, so they can only focus at certain distance. Yeah. So when they come in close, it makes them a little blurry. The temperatures and stuff mess with the cameras, and it can't, because they don't have the frame rate. Yeah. It can't catch the wings in flight, right? So it makes them.
I've seen some together.
Yeah, I've seen some that look crazy.
Amazing. Like me too.
Yeah. So but people have to understand, if we can explain it naturally, it can't possibly be paranormal. So we look at those things, but a true orb is a real thing. It used to be called.
I changed the name of it for myself. Yes. When I say it, I call it a light anomaly.
Yes,
because
that's what we used to call it years ago. Light anomalies, energy balls, spirit balls. The term orb came out from the birth of digital photography because the flash was too close to the lens, which created the orbs on the camera. But it's believed to be pure energy that's supposed to be a spirit or a demon trying to manifest itself in the room.
And so you can see a bunch of smiley faces inside an orb. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
Yes,
but no, I mean, Eric and I have both seen light anomalies, like physically with our eyes.
Oh yeah,
you'll see them with your eyes. I've seen 3. in my lifetime that I believe were real. And one was the
I
first
saw
one I ever
one.
saw was on this case. And when I tell you
Oh,
that
wow.
it pulled the energy from the room to where you can feel the energy being pulled out of you. That's why every camera died. It took the power out of everything. The lights were
I
flickering.
had that feeling at the prison chapel at Belle Glade
Yeah.
for the first time I went there. I felt like it was getting pulled
Yes.
down.
Right. Yeah, that chapel was pretty heavy.
And
But
you know, it's I'm not trying to, I don't want to cut you off by any means,
yeah,
but when you feel a physical touch or when you feel there's aggression behind it or something like that, there's
Yeah.
no way to explain that to anybody. I
Right.
was grabbed at the
No.
Deering house, and the only way I could describe it is if somebody took their hand and put it in a bucket of ice water and sat it there for a minute and then grabbed the back of my neck, like pretty darn hard. And
Right.
there's a video of it. Ernesto, I think he was in the chat. He was watching here. He was filming, like we were
are
just kind
you
of walking
okay?
around. And I froze, man. I ain't gonna lie. If something comes up behind you and grabs the back of your neck and is cold like that, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What is that? You can't describe that to somebody, the feeling.
Yeah. You
of
have
that.
to experience it. I can tell you a million stories. I tell people you have to experience it to understand what I'm saying. You know, I'll tell you everything you want to hear, but when you have to experience it. I mean, that ball started about the size of a golf ball and slowly grew into about the size of a softball. And it was like the only way I can explain it, it was like a mini sun because it had so much light coming off of it because it's pure energy. And that's why I tell people it can't be flat, it can't be transparent. You know, because it's solid. Yeah, it's solid energy and it has its own light. It doesn't reflect light. So for everybody out there who has security cameras, if a real orb flew into that room at night, your camera would flip into daylight mode because it would think you turned on a light. That's one way of telling. It doesn't reflect light. Everything you guys are seeing on these things are reflecting the infrared lights, you know. So when this thing grew and when we tell people that they move intelligently, and then people will show their cameras and say, well, look, it moved different. No. This thing was like, if you remember, what was the old movie? Phasm or whatever with the silver ball back in there. Like, that's what it was like. I mean, this thing came up like right into your face and was like, you know, so close to you, staring at you, freaking you out. But you got to try not to have that fear because they feed off of fear, you know. And it moved around for a while, and then it went into the corner, and it just expanded into about an 8-foot, like shadowy, smoky figure, and then just dissipated. And then the couch flew clear across the room. There was the couple, the husband and wife. The wife, she looked like she was going to pass out, and the husband went to grab her and realized that she was actually about 2 inches off the ground. She was hovering off the ground, and then the couch flew across the room, hit the wall. And I say the priest was a pro because that thing flew this far from his face, and he didn't even flinch. He just kept reading, you know, and hit the wall. And he explained later on that that was the demon trying to make one last ditch effort to not be expelled from that house, you know. And it was like really opened my eyes a lot, you know, because I've heard a lot. I've been part of some things, but those type of things you think really are only in the movies, and you know they are there, but luckily it's rare.
Very rare, very rare.
Yeah, very
rare.
Yeah. I mean, and Bill, you know, we talked about this before. There was something that happened to us that really kind of startled me one time is when we were at Aerojet rocket facility, and this place is known for demonic practices and satanic worship and different things. And we were in the room where there was a 50-foot pentagram spray painted on the ground. There was originally a 3-legged chair with a blood stain that Python Cowboy found, and then we talked with him, and we have an episode actually out on it on Paraflix, the Haunted Files, and we have some of Mike's footage from when he originally found it and stuff like that. But when we went back out there, we got so much evidence. I could make a show just talking about that. But
Bill, how often are you going to get devices, all different types of devices saying devil, Satan, ghosts?
Very rare.
Everything.
Very, very
it was
rare.
like everything we turned on had something to do with something demonic. Franny fainted on the way out and got sick and threw up.
Yeah.
And then
I blacked out.
So that's what I'm getting at. That's the part that I wanted to get to is when I've been investigating with Eric for years and years now. So have you, and you know Eric, and I know Eric, and I've never seen him act this way ever. We were in a room, Joe. It was me, Joe, Franny, and Eric, and we were done with our EVP session, and we were gonna go, and we were all talking, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go over here now.
Right.
We all walked out of the room. Eric sitting down on like some old cement bags that were there or something, and he's just kind of staring off into space. I mean, like he was just kind of sitting there like this, and I'm like, Eric, and he didn't hear me, and he was just sitting there just dazed, and I'm like, Eric, you all right? And he didn't say anything, and he was just staring off into space, and Joe comes walking up next to me, and I look at Joe, and I'm like, he ain't right? Something's wrong with him, right? And Joe's like, and I'm like, Eric, and I said it again, like even louder, and then he kind of like shook it off and was like, hey, what's up, man? I was like, all right.
And for me, it's like I just thought like I was just like in my routine, like there was like no period where like
there was no, it was like a lapse
of
of time.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was a good minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Well, you know that, you know, the one room that I crawled into in that window.
Yeah.
Maybe that affected me from being in that room because it looked like there was some type of like weird rituals going there. There's like a bed and someone died, and I don't know. It was really weird.
There was, yeah, and so something happened there where he wasn't himself for a few minutes, and that was
a scary thing.
And
it's a
right
scary
after
thing
that,
for everybody because he doesn't know what's going on. Most people wouldn't know what to do to help him. You know,
and I think I'm fine. I just think I'm investigating like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, it was like a loss of time because he didn't realize anything. He didn't realize that 2 minutes had passed.
And we captured that on film.
Oh wow! Oh, I gotta see that.
And then yeah, it's really a wild episode, to be honest with you. We caught so many things, and it was very super strange. And so after that, we said, you know what, let's not push our luck. Let's call it, and we headed out and did some
and cleanse our asses.
Yeah, that's a smart thing. Hey, I still don't understand how in the hell I got an attachment from the Riddle House when I've been there so many times, and that one time up in the attic with that. I don't get it. And then you know what's funny is when we went back, the first time I went back after that, I was there with Rob when you guys were there, and I went back upstairs. They had the attic open. I'm like, okay, let's go. I haven't been up here since that it was like a year back or whatever. And I went up and I went upstairs with, it was David and Rob with me from my team. And we went upstairs, went up into the attic, and they started like going to sit down, and I almost fell over. And, you know, like Rob was like, you're right. I said, no, I'm about to pass. I had to go downstairs and sit outside of the house. I don't understand it because I've been in the Riddle House how many times, and I never had issues until that time. And now I came back, not even thinking, like it wasn't in my head, like, oh, something's going to go on. You know, I mean, I've been doing this 36 years. It doesn't affect me like that. But I went upstairs and, you know, sometimes things take over you.
Did you do anything or are you just hanging out?
No. I just we were only up there for 5 minutes. We went up there to go start doing some EVPs because I hadn't been there since that time.
Didn't something happen at JP that night too?
Well, no,
somebody else.
I don't know that night, but the year before that was when we got the recording on JP's thing that said he's dead, which was directed at me, and then I had an attachment for 2 weeks. That's why I'm saying after that, I don't know why I had that. I mean, you know, really people ask me. Yeah, I don't get it.
Because Zap always fucks around. I mean, oops. Sorry, Bill. Bleep that out. So anyway, like one day we were there and because, okay, real quick, the story about the attic. There was a cemetery worker that was accused of stealing, and he was so upset he hung himself in the 3rd floor attic, or someone was teaching him a lesson and hung his ass up there. And he was an alcoholic, so he hates men. He loves the women. So if he's going to attack anyone, it's going to be men. But like, I remember one time we were there and Zap was like, he's like, Joseph, how about I send Eric up there and just lock him up there with you in the attic? And we're doing the EVP session. And we got F that, F, like clear as day.
Yeah,
Well,
and you know, to throw something out there too about that is we had. Well, I wasn't there for this, but we had the animal podcast, Josh, with us with the team, and he had a phantom smell of whiskey when he was
downstairs in the funeral parlor, and his
And-
daughter smelt it.
and we also have had the same thing in the attic as well, like
Right.
like a whiskey breath, you know, like very
Right,
strange.
right.
And
Well,
to
I
have somebody
remember
else,
I remember going there when the attic wasn't open to to anybody really, and we'd go up. The first time I was there, I walked up with Scotty, and we go into the room there that has the doll, with the bedroom there. And as we're walking by, she starts banging on the attic door. Joseph, wake up! So yeah, I mean, I don't provoke. I don't do anything like that. I don't know why. That's why I tell people, you don't know why these things happen. But things like what you're talking about. The problem with those places are it's not, people don't realize self-manifestation. And when people go to these places and they start doing satanic rituals and bad stuff, it's not like demons are just hanging out in every building somewhere. But when you have that much of that type of energy, it can cause a lot of things, and it could draw things in there, So
and some of it can be non-human, elemental, different things. And I definitely feel, like I said, it's very rare, and I would say, but that place, there's something dark going on there for sure.
I still got to
they just found another body out there recently.
Just recently, fresh.
I mean, there's been multiple murders and bodies dumped out there as well,
missing people.
I want to get out there, but we have to go with a big group.
We can get back out there. We usually like when it cools down a little, it's a little too hot.
But that's the problem now. We're starting to sweat on those trains.
But speaking of addicts, we got to pay some bills, and we're going to be talking about an addict that I think, Bill, you're going to be going there very soon. Right, Mike?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Addicts. Hello. We got a new trailer, new episode coming out, and we got to pay some bills.
Yep. All right, cool. So, we have a couple ads we're going to play, and you'll see what Eric's talking about here just in a minute.
What is up, my paranormal peeps? You may be wondering why we're holding something like these in our hand, and my buddy's going to tell you all about it.
The reason that we have this paranormal equipment in our hand is because we're giving a big shout out to the Ghost Hunter store, one of our sponsors. They're your one-stop shop for everything paranormal.
That's right, and you may have seen some of these equipment on your favorite paranormal TV shows.
Exactly, especially the Haunted Files on Paraflix.
Mike's got that right.
All right, guys, so check them out, and if you use the code word Ghost Gone Wild,
not Girls Gone Wild,
Ghost Gone Wild, in your checkout, you'll get a discount on your purchase. Thank you, guys.
Peace. Hello. Hi, I'm Eric, and this is Mike from War Party Paranormal Radio Show and the Haunted Files on Paraflix. And Mike, we got something pretty cool, right?
Heck yeah. So, I want to talk about Haunted Happy Hour, spirit-infused coffee. They have many different flavors, all kinds of different stuff. They're great people. They have a podcast with great content, and they got an amazing product here. So, this one actually is Sweet Rum Bliss. And what's amazing about this, you order this product and you also get 1 month free subscription to Paraflix. So you can watch us.
Yeah, and you might be feeling dead inside, but get caffeinated with Haunted Happy Hour.
All right.
Are you ready to explore the unknown?
Eventually,
Brace yourself for a journey into the supernatural. Paraflix Paranormal Plus, your gateway to the paranormal, all-in-one streaming service. Dare to explore, dare to believe, dare to stream alone.
It does not want us here.
Sign up now and embark on a supernatural adventure like never before. Paraflix Paranormal Plus, the universal home of paranormal.
All right, and speaking about the haunted Paraflix and the haunted files, we got a new episode coming out at the end of this month on April 25th, Friday, 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The haunted files, it's a local place that we investigate here called the Veely House. Bill, have you ever been there with us before?
No, I haven't been there.
Okay, so it's at the old Davie school grounds, and it's a historical pioneer home. And we did the episode there, and very, very cool. And it has a very crazy active haunted attic. So that's what Eric was talking about before we went into the show. So we're going to play a quick little trailer for that, and then we'll get right back to it. Welcome to the Haunted Files. And tonight we're investigating the extremely haunted Veely House here in Davie, Florida. Eric, tell us what we're getting into.
So we're getting into a lot because we investigated this place. I can't tell you how many times. We also do events here, and we've gotten some crazy activity, especially in that attic right there. So we're going to see what we're going to get tonight.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All right.
When we've given tours to some kids in the mornings, sometimes the main question we'll get is, excuse me, do you see that woman in the building? We don't, the kids do, and we try to just tell them to wave and say hi. When we are feeling certain things in this building, we'll try to take a break from it because it can be quite overwhelming for a lot of people, especially if they haven't experienced it before.
At this point, we don't waste any more time. We grab our gear and we head in to investigate.
Hello? Dude?
You heard a noise, right?
Yeah, not even kidding
Like a
around.
piano, like a piano noise.
I heard like a high pitch. Like
Yeah, up there.
What?
Dude, it almost went to red. Come on, Paul, is that you? Make all those lights go all the way to the right. That's him.
Are you part of the Veely
Get
family?
out.
Dude, his voice so strange there, man.
I did die.
You did die? You know that you're deceased? Can you just please help us with this experiment and say a number?
Get out.
That makes me laugh, man. I'm like,
Remember, Bill, last Saturday I was telling you about Paul Hammer.
Yeah.
That's the place.
That's the place. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get those Delco goggles because we have a lot of fun with those goggles. Oh my God. Your goggles have been all over the place. You know, they even went out to Brazil. They were on the podcast out in Brazil. People had them out there. We've had
Yeah, and appreciate that, by the way.
Oh, no problem. We had them
in the UK, right, Mike?
What's that?
In the UK.
Yeah. You know, just for shits and giggles, one day I went to YouTube and I typed in like Delco goggles as a C, and there was people like doing unboxings in the UK and like doing all this stuff, and like I was like, wow, this is cool, man. This is very flattering.
We did it when I was up at New Year's time. We were up at the old jail in St. Augustine. They kept I love the tour guys. They're so great there, and
they are great.
They're a lot like us, what they do. And they were begging me. They're like, "Can we stay and do the Delco experiment when everybody leaves?" Because I had the goggles with me. I'm like, "Yeah." We hung out there for a while afterwards.
Yeah, and it's funny because there's been a couple places Eric and I have gone just to shoot for the Haunted Files, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Mike Del Coro," and they're like, "All right, yeah," and Eric, and they're like, "Oh, we've heard War Party before," and somebody mentioned something like, "Oh yeah, he made the Delco goggles." They're like, "The Delco goggles, we love those. We got a pair," and I'm like, "Oh man, that's crazy." It's like it's like so many people, and it's for, and I was on a podcast the other day, and I didn't make these for any other reason than we were trying them out and trying different stuff, and we started getting a lot of results. And then I'd give a pair to, like, do you guys like, hey, check these out, see if you get some different, what kind of results you're getting. Gave them to another couple teams. Then so many people started asking me for them. I was like, man, I gotta get a way to get these out there, and that's how I gave them. Ended up giving them to the Ghost Hunter store on consignment, and then he's selling them through there. But yeah, it's so remarkable to hear everybody else's experiences with them, and it's mind blowing.
And there's been times where Mike, his wife, and I, we have like a little assembly line going.
Yeah, we're building them to.
Well, I'll tell you this: my wife, who is on the team, she doesn't investigate. She's a Reiki master and does energy healing and all that with our clients. She's not on the investigating side. She's seen the videos all the times of, the Estes method, the Delco experiment. And at the place where we've been going, she decided to come up one night. She said, I want to come up and I want to try this, because she could not believe that, one, you couldn't hear what we were asking, and two, that you're actually getting voices that are not the radio. And she was quite blown away by it. Honestly, she did it there, which I couldn't believe she was even doing this. She did it there, and she was blown away, because she said, you can hear some muffled sounds sometimes, but also depends on what you have. We have the Vic Firth headphones.
Yeah, same.
And was she cursing in Brazilian?
Well, yeah, no, nothing in Brazil, nothing in Portuguese. But it was. She was quite surprised that, the stuff that was coming out. And then when she watched the video back, she said she always saw our videos, and she goes, I just can't believe it, and then right.
It's hard. It's hard to digest.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you see people, especially like with that, when you say something, they're like, no, right as you're asking, but that's what happened. And then when she watched the video back and saw what happened, she was quite surprised by the direct responses. So yeah,
and
we couldn't fake some of that if we want, if we wanted to. It's it's crazy. And I almost said, the stuff, the stuff that comes out sometimes, it's like, it's mind blowing, and and I just think, the whole thing was, all right, you know what, for the Estes method to really work, I feel like a person really needs to get into that trance and let go and kind of just get into that state of mind. And that's what mixing the Gansfeld with it, I figured would help that person get into that state of mind, with the extra sensory deprivation. And I feel that, we all have that, that sensory that we could tap into the other side, the spiritual world. We just are taught out of it, and this is a way to, when you overload your senses like this, to help your human psyche kind of get back into that, and that's what seems to, and it works for different people differently. Like I feel like if you're an empath, or if you're sensitive, that it tends to have a bigger impact. It's like whatever you normally would do, it amplifies that. So if you're already sensitive, or a psychic medium per se, it amplifies that even to the next level.
Connie has used them with us, and she's very, she has very, very strong abilities, and the stuff that was coming out of her at the Devil's Tree with them was pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of stuff, and she was yelling it out, and then she's like, and aside from the sounds, mentally I'm seeing this. And it was great, because we had two of our teammates who were still kind of new, Udani and Jude, and I don't think Jude had ever been really out on an investigation like this at night in the dark. We're in the middle of the woods there, and Connie's like, on a separate thing, I see there's somebody right over there, and all of a sudden you hear branches break, like somebody was walking. They definitely jumped a bit.
Oh yeah.
They weren't expecting.
Well, we were there, and Joe like jumped. He like saw a full bodied apparition there.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That place is another place.
And Joe's very sensitive, so small, very intuitive. Just teasing Joe. I love Joe.
Before I want to go off one thing you guys were saying before about, like devices saying the devil and Satan and stuff. You may have heard me talk about this. So for people that don't know, for the last 12 years, I worked at a psychiatric drug and alcohol treatment facility. I'm a IT director during the day. So I interact with patients a bit there. I'm not, like anything to do with their therapy and stuff, but the doctor even allows me to come into the facility with my equipment and our presentation and do the show for the kids and for the patients and give them something to do. And, they get freaked out a little bit, but they don't realize that some of the voices and stuff they're hearing on our presentation is actually they're in the room where we captured it. We don't want to freak them out too much, But
like the Broward Women's Correctional Facility voice, that was wild.
Yes,
that one is insane.
I use that in all my presentations. It's so clear. But there was one patient, which of course I can't say names or anything, but there was one patient that she believed she was possessed by the devil and talked to demons all day long. She was schizophrenic. Not schizophrenic. It was I always forget the name. It's a type of schizophrenia. But she would walk up and down the hallways all day long talking to herself. And she didn't bother with anybody. She just walked up and down the hallways. I didn't know who they were talking about because the doctor and the med students told me, joking around, hey, we have one for you, and I didn't know who they were talking about. I used to see her walking up and down because I have all the cameras. And one day I walk out of my office and I walk down the hallway and there's people in and out of this hallway all day long. So if she's walking down, she's got her head down talking. She just ignores everybody and just walks right past them. I came out of the room and I started walking down the hallway and she looked up at me, saw me, and she backed up against the wall and like shimmied along the wall, like looking at me frightened, and went by. And I'm like, well, that was strange, And then it was later on that day I found out that's the girl they were talking about that believes she's possessed by the devil. So now I was curious, in all the years I've been there, nobody really, I felt there could be a possibility until this girl. And one day we were doing the show for the patients. We usually would do it for the teens, but we were doing it for the adults also. And me and Rob were in the room and we were setting up all the equipment and the presentation. And they were all outside the door waiting to come in, including her. And I was really excited because what I was going to do is when I talk about protection, I was going to walk out with my cross and just see if there's any, I can't assess them in the building, of course, because we would lose all our licenses if they found out that the IT director was assessing people for demonic possession, But so we were waiting, we were getting everything set up, and Rob was kidding around saying, hey, we got to come investigate in here again soon. And I was kidding around, and I picked up the Ovilus, and I turned it on, and I go, anybody here? And like that, it said, devil. All right. And she's standing outside that door. Now, I took a picture of it real quick just to have it because me and him looked at each other like, that's odd. We took a picture and the battery went and died and it was dead.
That's crazy.
So we always laughed about that. Now, she only stayed in there for 5 minutes and then she started walking the hallways again. But then I started having interactions with her after that when she was in like the in IOP. And she came up to me like, I didn't even know she was there. I was talking to somebody. She came walking up to me and she goes, I had a dream about you last night. I was talking to you about my demons, and she walked away. And the coordinator working there was like, what the hell just happened?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, well,
spooky,
we're not really sure about that one, And she kept going back and forth with me. She was the one person out of 12 years there that I'm really not sure it was all psychiatric illness. There was some interesting things with her, but it was interesting.
Well, I bet there's a lot of compliance that goes on there, but we got a lot of compliance here on this radio show. So
nice segue.
There we go. Welcome, Bill, our producer. So we're happy to have him here tonight. But I just want to let our listeners know on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network that you'll be transitioning to the next show shortly. But if you want to continue watching our show or listening or whatever, we're on Facebook Live and our YouTube with War Party. And our wonderful people, Mike, our wonderful people, not you people, right, that are watching now, check out KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. If you're stuck in traffic and you're tired of listening to the same old shit on TV, I mean, Listen to KGRA. You got UFOs, you got MUFON, you got paranormal, spiritualism, cryptids. So yeah, check them out. Father Bishop Long, Bill Slevin, he has a live show there too.
That's right.
How'd I do, Bill?
You did great. I just want to say congratulations. You guys are like #1 somewhere.
Yeah, on the Paraflix app on the streaming platform, the Haunted Files is the #1 viewed show on Paraflix right now.
Y'all go check it out.
Yeah, that was exciting news to find out. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure.
We're very honored. I mean, the talent that's on there for us to be up there, and Mike's a genius when it comes to editing, but I mean, you got some major people like producing stuff with all the equipment and production companies, and we're just us two with our little cameras.
Well, all of you are doing a tremendous job and doing everything.
We thank you, Bill.
Thank you, sir.
So are you guys going to continue? Because I need to wrap and go to Clyde.
Go for it.
Go ahead. And yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Have a great rest of your show. Bill, I'll be in touch. The bishop is looking forward to talking to you. All right, you guys. Have a great night. Be well, be blessed.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm out.
And what he meant by that, you're going to have to sign up for KGRA because I don't know, maybe Bishop Long might have a special guest.
Yep. So we're getting to that point of the show where we're going to end up starting to wrap things up here a little bit. Bill, is there anything else that you wanted to add before we?
No, I mean, if anybody wants to find me, it's real easy. BillSlevin.com. My team is PERSFL.com, and keep an eye out because there are some big announcements coming soon. Like I said, there is something new coming up that has to do with the Warrens. I have something very big with the people in Brazil. The people that we're working with in Brazil are amazing people. They're some of the most known psychics and paranormal, alien, and everything you could think of in Brazil. The most known people out there, and
awesome.
We got some really interesting stuff coming up.
There's some crazy shit in Brazil. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh yeah,
and my wife's all part of this too because she's originally from Brazil. And the only other thing right now is I'm going to be a guest at the Connecticut Paracon. I believe it's July 12th and 13th, and also at UltraCon in September. I'm going to mess up those dates. I don't remember them offhand. I think it's
we'll be at UltraCon as well.
Yeah. So I'll be a guest at UltraCon the whole weekend.
Well, make sure you follow Bill on his social media and stuff, and then you could follow and check up for those dates. I'm sure he'll be posting that stuff when it comes a little closer. And for me, if you want to check out any of my social media, the easiest way is to go to my website. It's FLAparanormalresearcher.com. And that links out to all my social media and the hauntedfiles.com and warpartyparanormal.com as well. So check that out and have any of the newest and news with the Haunted Files, things of that nature will all be there as well.
That's correct.
Eric?
And you can follow me at Ghoster South Florida on all your social media platforms. And for those of you who want to investigate with us, if you missed us last Saturday night, Friday, May 30th, we'll be at the Old Davie Schoolhouse Museum. And Bill, you're more than welcome to bring your team. So maybe we might have some surprise guests coming. So
I might have to do that. Never been there, so
do it.
Yeah, maybe you can check out the Veely House.
Yeah.
I want to say I have a few team members watching tonight too. I see Brittany and everybody. And
yeah, thanks for Brittany for joining. Brittany, subscribe, like.
I forgot one thing too. We also have a Paracon that we are going to be headlining at, and we're going to be doing a public investigation on the USS North Carolina in Wilmington, called Booze on the Battleship. And there's going to be a lot of other great talent there from Beacon, and it'll have Josh Purvis and Shane Pittman there from Searchers. You're going to have a lot of Mike and help me out here, Eric.
Josh Purvis, Shane Pittman. You're going to have Mike Gagliano and Mary Mary something Lane.
Mary had a little lamb.
They're funny. I'm sorry. I'm really bad with names. Okay,
I am too. But no, there's going to be a lot of great people there, and yeah, it's going to be
James from Cross the Line Paranormal is going to be hanging out there as well with this team.
Mary Lynn, that's right. And
Mary Lynn Bass. There you go.
And yeah, that's going to be April 27th of this month. Yep, April the 27th of this month. Yeah. So we'll be heading up there. Yeah, and then
I'll see you guys Saturday.
Yeah, private. Yeah. And yeah, we're going to do a little private thing Saturday. So awesome, guys. And we appreciate it. Bill, thank you very much for joining us. Awesome show as
Thanks
always.
For having me. Always. I appreciate it.
He'll be back.
And now Bill, the new producer, not our new producer, old producer that's been now back, has changed some stuff around. Now I gotta figure out how to do this outro. All right, guys, and we'll see you next Monday. Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Bye.